Hey everybody, Joe Borey from Syncoplay Retro Gaming. And today I just want to chat with you guys about a little game I've been playing recently. So when I was a kid, I loved demo discs. How else do you get up to 12 playable games? Yeah, they were demos, but they were playable games for like $5, right? They'd come in a magazine, or you get them in a jewel case, or sometimes they were just freebies that you could pick up at the store. And I absolutely loved it. Got to play so many great games. One of my favorite PlayStation demo discs was the PlayStation Jam Pack Volume 1. This guy came with Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. Now that Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo is a great game, but even the demo could be played for hours. It came with Dynasty Warriors. It came with, Pitfall 3D, which gets a lot of flack, but not a bad game. MDK, Machine Hunter. But one of my favorite games on this disc was LucasArts' Herc's Adventures. So Herc's Adventures is basically their love letter follow-up to Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which was one of my favorite games as a kid. And what's great about it is that while it plays like Zombies Ate My Neighbors, when I was a kid I played that demo, and the demo I thought I was playing level 1, and that was cool. And just recently I picked this game back up, and it's a little bit different than I expected, because there is no level 1. This is Zombies Ate My Neighbors if it was a massive open world RPG. And holy crap, that is exactly my style. So in Herc's Adventures, you take the role of either Herc, or Hercules, Atlanta, or Jason, the Argonauts fame. And you explore this world doing quests for Zeus and Dionysus and Hera and all the Greek gods, even doing quests for Hades himself in order to finally break your way into the underworld and defeat Hades at his own game. The whole thing is presented really cleverly as a chess match between Zeus and Hades, and it's beautifully set up in the opening cutscene, kind of the way that you expect storytelling from LucasArts to go. This game has absolutely beautiful animation for the original PlayStation.
Ah, good work so far. But you still have a long way to go.
Sony liked to push the idea that PlayStation was the 3D console, and they kind of pushed 2D to the sidelines. Yeah, we got a couple of good 2D games on the original PlayStation. I mean, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, as I've talked about in a previous video, is one of my favorite games of all time. But in a general case, Sony tried to focus on 3D. But here, LucasArts went ahead and pushed 2D to, I would say, the PlayStation's limits. Really smooth, animated, huge monsters that you fight against. Full screen animated characters integrated into the world that give you your quests and are your cutscenes. Everything just feels so vibrant and alive and like almost Disney-like animated, which is just a fantastic way to present a game like this. On top of that, Herc's Adventures, just like Zombies Ate My Neighbors before it, is absolutely packed with secrets. There are dozens of items that you can use of different types of weapons, ranging from the simple, slash them with my sword, or throw a spear, or, things like that, to some really crazy stuff. Once you've got the head of Medusa, you can use it as pretty much to turn any enemy to stone. And eventually you have to turn it in for your quest, unfortunately. But it is a crazy powerful weapon while you have it. On top of that, you've got things like the bag of frogs that you can use to distract enemies. You've got inflatable cows, which work like the dummies in Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Enemies will attack them instead. You've got this wacky, weird stuff that you can use as your items. And being an open world, it's absolutely packed with secret areas to find, little offshoots that you can jump up to and find yourself either hearts or money or anything like that that you can use to further yourself on your quests. So the game like I said, I initially went in thinking this was going to be a level-based structure like Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and the fact that it was open world and the fact that it was huge just made it feel like there was an endless amount of stuff to do inside this game. I loved that part of it. That said, Herc's Adventures is not a perfect game. And unfortunately, there are a few things that are going to get in the way of, I'd say, a lot of people enjoying it, and probably most people from wanting to complete it.
Really starting to piss me off!
The first issue, and this is something I see come up regularly online when talking about this game, is it's confusing. It's an open world, but it's an open world with very little direction. And especially once you've got past the initial section in which you fight your way out of the swamp, defeat the boar, and then you have to move on to Ellis. Once you've gotten past that section, where you're supposed to go next is not very well communicated to the player. And you'll find yourself regularly wandering until you run into a door with a letter on it, and then wandering in a different direction, hoping you'll find a key to open that door. So this is a game that, unless you have a lot of patience, I recommend at least minimal use of an online guide to get through. The other, I'd say, big hiccup in this game, and one that nearly killed it for me, but I will get to that in a moment, is the idea that there is permanent death in a 15-hour-long epic adventure. When you die, you go to the underworld, and you have to fight your way back out. What's cool is that at the end, when you have to go to the underworld, you're actually fighting your way in to the area that you had just fought your way out every time that you died. That is a cool mechanic. That is a great way to bring the story into the death mechanic. The problem is, after 5 times in the underworld, you're just stuck, and you can't get back out. And in a game that's 15 hours long and fairly difficult, what that really means is you become so afraid of death that you grind. And you grind and you grind a lot.
Now there is a fun time.
And I found myself grinding for euros, which is how you heal, and items and money, and grinding for additional health power-ups and all of that way more often than I would have liked to. And so it didn't completely kill the game for me, but it almost did, because I started playing as Hercules. And Hercules is terrible. Playing as Hercules, you are pretty much dependent on his melee attack, which is the same power level as the other character's distance attacks, which is weird. He has a special attack that you charge up and throw, but once it's thrown, you can't move until it comes back to you like a boomerang. And during that time, you're being bombarded by enemies. Hercules' only real strength is that at the beginning, he can lift up houses and big boulders that the other characters can't. And about 30 minutes into the game, you get the ability for everybody else to lift houses and boulders as well, which makes Hercules kind of useless. But when I restarted the game as Atlanta, that's when it got fantastic.
Oh, will you get out of here? I'm done with you. Go bother someone else.
That's when it started playing like Zombies Ate My Neighbors, with my bow, which is my ranged attack. She moves fast. I pretty quickly get to the point where I can pick stuff up and throw them just like Hercules could. And the rest of the game was, I thought, pretty well balanced. I only actually found myself going to the underworld once during the course of the game. And yeah, I still grinded. But I ended up ending the game with way too many healing items because I grinded. And so definitely recommend skip over Hercules, even skip over Jason. He's not that great. And just play this as Atlanta. This should have been called Atlanta's Adventures. That said, From here on out, I'm going to be talking a little bit of spoiler territory here. So if you're really worried about spoiling the weird ending to Herc's Adventures, I'll put a timestamp on the screen that you can skip to. But when you reach the ending of Herc's Adventures, actually, I first have to dial back a little bit and talk about Egypt. About halfway through the game, you go to Egypt, and it's just this little offshoot area, and it's full of UFOs and Martians, which is a kind of a funny throwback to Zombies Ate My Neighbors. It's the same UFO design, the same Martian design as we found in Zombies Ate My Neighbors. And yeah, tongue-in-cheek, get a little laugh, typical LucasArts humor, and then you move on in the game. Flash forward to the end of the game, we go down into hell, or to Hades. We fight against, or the underworld, there we go. We fight against Hades himself. We beat him. Kind of a cool boss fight. It fills the whole screen, really well animated, all of that. We beat him. He breaks open, and he is actually a robot Hades controlled by the Martians. And the rest of the last boss fight is Martians swarming the underworld as you're taking them out to try to stop them and save Persephone, which is the quest that Zeus has sent you on. And it's the most random way to end a game. And then afterwards you save Persephone, game's over, and cool, that's the end. But completely out of left field, wacky, weird ending. And I'm sure when I was a kid, it would have just had me rolling and laughing. As an adult, it's a little out of place, but it's still kind of funny. The better part of the ending is what happens after. Because after the final cutscene and you've saved Persephone, it then loads you into the LucasArts development studio, where the credits are actually going around talking to the LucasArts staff. There's still gameplay. In fact, there's still secret areas inside this ending as you wander around the LucasArts development studio and meet all of the people who made the game. There's a Princess Leia and R2-D2 standee cutout in there that you can go see, and a bunch of other sort of like LucasArts and Lucasfilms references. Real fun way to end it. Herc's Adventures is a little hard to get your hands on nowadays. It didn't do well back then, which is unfortunate because, as I said, it's a good game and I actually really enjoyed it. But it's gotten pretty expensive on the PlayStation, even more so on the Sega Saturn. But if you can track it down, if you can get your hands on a copy of this, I recommend giving it a try. And even if you can't get your hands on the full version, the demo is still a ton of fun and way easier to find a copy of the demo.
It's bingo night up on Mount Olympus, and I don't want to be late.
So that's Herc's Adventures. This has been a fun experience, something that I wanted to play through ever since I was a kid. And please let me know down in the comments if you want to see any more videos like this, if you like reviews like this. And it was great seeing you guys, and have a great day.